Questions you can ask a woman to build intimacy without facing rejection. A subtle psychological approach she won't easily resist. Psychology teaches us something important. Love isn't about control. It's about nurturing a connection. As Johann Wolfgang von Goethe once said, let's start with the truth. Many men feel, but don't often say out loud. The real fear isn't intimacy itself, it's rejection. That moment when a man leans in, notices a change in the vibe, and suddenly everything stops. Let's start with a truth. Many men feel, but don't often say out loud. The real fear isn't intimacy itself. It's rejection, that moment when a man leans in, notices a change in the vibe, and suddenly everything stops. She pulls away, the energy shifts, and the connection fades almost instantly. Yet that brief moment lingers in his mind far longer than the attempt ever did. But here's something worth understanding. Intimacy itself is rarely. This is where most men get it wrong. A lot of men unintentionally ruin their chances through small but critical mistakes. Some come off too direct, almost like they're asking for approval in a formal setting. Others rush into things before any real comfort has been built. Some carry anxious or uneasy energy that quietly signals insecurity. And others try to move toward intimacy without first creating any meaningful emotional tension. Each of these actions disrupts the natural emotional flow that attraction depends on. Here's the deeper idea. Women don't usually decide on intimacy through logic alone. It's an emotional process first. When she feels at ease, understood, valued, and respected at the same time, her thoughts and emotions begin to line up, and when that happens, everything feels natural instead of forced. Another thing many men fail to notice is how attraction forms differently. For men, it can happen instantly. A look, a smile, a spark, and interest appears right away. But for many women, it builds gradually in layers. Through shared moments, emotional comfort, curiosity, laughter, and anticipation, every interaction adds another piece to the connection. That's why a woman might meet a man and feel nothing special at first, but weeks later catch herself thinking about him often. Nothing sudden or magical happened. The connection simply grew over time until it naturally reached a point where attraction became clear. Once you understand this, your approach completely shifts. You stop rushing moments that need time to develop. You stop forcing situations that should evolve naturally. Instead, you focus on building the right emotional setting where curiosity increases, comfort deepens, and anticipation slowly forms. And when those emotional elements are in place, intimacy no longer feels like something that has to be asked for. It starts to feel like the natural next step in a connection. Both people are already enjoying the first principle. You never ask directly. Let's begin with the most important principle. The first technique: you never ask directly. Let me say it again, because this alone can completely shift your results. You never ask a woman for intimacy in a direct way. Women don't respond well to straightforward requests. They respond to emotional invitation. And the difference between the two is huge. When you ask directly, it creates pressure. And pressure naturally creates resistance. And that resistance often leads to rejection. But when you invite her in a subtle emotional way, the whole dynamic changes. She doesn't feel pushed or cornered. It feels effortless. She feels like she's choosing it herself. And when a woman feels like the choice is hers, she almost never pushes it away. Now let's break down how this actually works. Think about the last time someone tried to sell you something too aggressively. The second you felt pressured, what did you do? You pulled back, even if you were interested. At first, the pressure ruined it. The same exact principle applies to intimacy. When a man asks something like, "Do you want to come over to my place?" or "Should we take this further?" he turns the moment into a transaction. He forces her to make a conscious decision. And the conscious mind is where hesitation lives. But when you create an emotional invitation, you're speaking to her subconscious. You're creating a feeling instead of asking a question, and feelings aren't rejected the same way. Direct questions are. The psychology behind emotional invitation is simple. You allow her to step into intimacy emotionally on her own. So, how do you actually do that? You create an environment where she feels comfortable with you, connected to you, and curious about you. Women open up to intimacy when 3 emotional triggers are activated: safety, trust, and anticipation. If even one of these is missing, she naturally holds back. But the good news is, you don't have to chase these. You can create them. And what I'm about to explain activates all three. So, pay attention. Let's go deeper into each one because understanding them will change how you handle every interaction. Safety doesn't mean she needs to know you for years. It means she feels like you won't judge her pressure. Or put her in a position where she regrets her choice. Safety comes from your emotional control. When you stay calm, centered, and non-reactive, she begins to relax around you. Trust develops when your actions match your words, when you say you're not in a rush, and you actually take your time when you respect her boundaries without making her feel guilty for them. That's when trust becomes strong enough to allow real vulnerability. Anticipation is where the spark comes alive. It's the tension that makes intimacy feel exciting instead of routine. Anticipation grows through patience, through subtle hints, through the space between what's happening now and what could happen next. Here's where it gets interesting. Most men put all their focus on attraction alone. They try to be funny, confident, impressive, all good things, but they completely overlook these three emotional triggers. And without safety, trust, and anticipation, attraction rarely turns into real intimacy. The second technique, the soft withdrawal effect. The second principle you need to understand is what many modern psychologists refer to as the soft withdrawal effect. While the term may sound complicated, the concept itself is simple, powerful, and closely connected to classic Stoic philosophy. True power belongs to the man who can control his impulses. Most men lose the moment, not because attraction isn't there, but because they rush it. They move too quickly. They try to push things forward, and the energy instantly shifts. Pressure replaces curiosity, and tension replaces natural chemistry. A disciplined man does the opposite. He slows down when others speed up. He creates space when others overwhelm the moment. This isn't manipulation, it's self-control. It's emotional discipline. As the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have control over your mind, not external events. Understand this, and you will discover real strength when you truly understand this idea." The soft withdrawal effect becomes effortless. Instead of chasing intimacy, you allow it to develop naturally. Instead of leaning in with urgency, you lean back with calm, quiet confidence. Not distant, not cold, just relaxed, present, and completely comfortable with silence. And that small adjustment changes everything because the pressure disappears immediately. The atmosphere becomes lighter. She no longer feels like she has to meet any expectation. She simply enjoys the moment. And in that emotional freedom, something powerful begins to happen. She starts leaning in on her own. This pattern shows up again and again in real-life situations. Picture this. You're sitting with a woman, the conversation is flowing naturally. There's eye contact, laughter, and a clear connection between you. Most men feel the urge to act right away. They move closer, escalate physically, and rush toward a kiss. And the moment suddenly tightens. She might lean back slightly. Not because attraction is gone, not because she's rejecting you, but because the pace suddenly felt forced. Now imagine a different approach. The response of a man who practices restraint and emotional awareness. Instead of moving forward too quickly, you slow things down. You lean back slightly in your seat. You take a calm breath. You look away for a brief moment. You allow a short pause to exist, just a small space, nothing more, and suddenly the pressure disappears. The moment begins to flow again in that quiet space. Her mind starts to notice something different. Why did he pull back? Is he unsure? Or is he simply composed? That curiosity begins to grow, and curiosity fuels attraction. Attraction naturally invites her to move closer, often without even realizing it. She starts closing the gap herself. She touches your arm. She leans in. She re-engages with the moment on her own terms. That's the real power behind the soft withdrawal effect. You're not chasing the connection. You allow the connection to naturally move in your direction. This idea has been around for centuries. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, No man is free who is not in control of himself. And that's exactly what women pick up on when they encounter a man with strong self-control. He's at ease with silence, comfortable with space, and unbothered by the uncertainty of where the moment is going. He doesn't rush because he isn't afraid of missing out. He trusts the natural flow of human connection in today's world, where dating apps, social media, and constant communication create a sense of urgency. This calm, grounded energy stands out. Even more, most men operate from a place of scarcity. They push too hard, they try to impress, they rush to gain validation. But a man rooted in stoic thinking understands something deeper. Attraction grows best when there is emotional space. It develops when both people feel free to move toward each other. So the practical takeaway is simple. Don't rush intimacy. Don't try to fill every silence. Don't react to every signal. Instantly be comfortable in the moment. Let your presence speak for itself. If the chemistry is real, space will strengthen it. If the interest is genuine, she will naturally move closer. And when that happens, everything changes. The interaction feels mutual, the energy feels balanced, and rejection becomes far less likely because nothing feels forced. This is why the mindset behind Stoicism is so powerful. It teaches you to stay steady in any situation. Calm when others become anxious, patient when others rush focused, when others seek approval, and when you bring that mindset into your interactions with women, the results can be powerful. You stop trying to control outcomes, and instead, you control yourself. You stay composed, clear-minded, and grounded in that quiet inner strength. As the philosopher Seneca once said, "The brave man is truly free." A man who has the courage to slow down, to lean back, and to let attraction develop naturally will often find that intimacy comes easier than expected, not because he chased it, but because he created the space for it to come to him. If this idea speaks to you, remember this. The man who never rushes rarely faces rejection. Calm energy, patience, and control over the moment. That is real. Confidence, as Lao Tzu said, nature never hurries yet, everything gets done. If you understand this principle, drop a comment right now. I attract by stepping back. Like, subscribe for more powerful insights, and remind yourself daily, the man who controls the pace controls the connection. The third technique, the implanted thought shift. The third technique is what I call the implanted thought shift. And when you truly understand it, you'll realize it's one of the most refined ways a high-value man builds intimacy without ever asking for it. Directly, pay close attention. Here, most men make the same mistake. They try to push the moment they ask. They hint, they attempt to steer the interaction forcefully. Don't do that. Attraction doesn't grow under pressure, it grows in space. The implanted thought shift works because it creates anticipation, which is one of the strongest emotional triggers in female psychology. Instead of asking for intimacy, you introduce an idea that gently leads her toward it on her own. That's the key difference between pressure and curiosity. Pressure shuts things down. Curiosity opens everything up. So what do you actually say? Keep it simple. Calm and emotionally suggestive, nothing demanding, nothing needy, just subtle observations that highlight the feeling already present in the moment. You might say something like, "I really like the way our energy feels together," or "You're surprisingly easy to be around," or even "You have a calm vibe that makes everything feel effortless." Notice something important. None of these statements ask for anything. None of them try to rush the moment. But each one plants a small idea, and that idea begins to grow quietly in her mind. Women respond more to feelings than to direct instructions when she starts feeling comfort, curiosity, and emotional warmth around you. Intimacy becomes her idea, her curiosity, not your request, and that shift changes everything. Because people naturally value what they feel they chose themselves, as the philosopher Blaise Pascal once pointed out, people are more easily convinced by reasons they believe they discovered on their own. Keep that in mind. When she feels the connection, and then hears you calmly put it into words, something powerful happens. She begins to recognize and confirm her own emotions. Take a line, like "I really like the way our energy feels together." You're not introducing something new. You're simply giving words to a feeling she may already have but hasn't expressed yet. And when you describe a feeling someone is already experiencing, their mind naturally agrees. She thinks, yeah, that's exactly what this feels like. That moment creates alignment, and alignment naturally builds attraction. This is one of the subtle strengths of a high-value man. He reads the emotional atmosphere and reflects it back with quiet confidence. No pressure, no rushing, just awareness and clarity. There's also a deeper psychological concept at play here called priming. In simple terms, the words used in a conversation shape how the experience is perceived. When you casually use words like energy, closeness, connection, and natural, you begin to influence the emotional tone of the interaction. Her mind starts organizing the experience around those ideas. Suddenly, it doesn't feel like just another conversation. It starts to feel meaningful, warm, and more intimate. And here's the most important part to understand. This isn't manipulation, it's awareness. You're simply guiding attention to what's already there. You're helping her notice the emotional connection that's naturally building between you. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul takes on the color of its thoughts." When your conversation carries the language of connection, the moment itself starts to feel more connected. When your words reflect ease, the interaction naturally becomes more relaxed.
This is how emotional momentum is built. But delivery matters just as much as the words. Stay calm, stay grounded. Don't rush your sentences. Let the conversation flow naturally. Speak slowly and with ease. That's how masculine energy shows up in communication. Not through force, but through composure. A man who is relaxed and observant signals emotional stability, and that stability is deeply attractive. One quiet truth about attraction is this. Women feel more comfortable exploring intimacy with a man who is patient, the man who doesn't chase the moment, the man who allows things to unfold naturally. That's why this approach works so effectively for men who want to attract in a confident and authentic way. You're not trying to win the moment, you're simply recognizing it. Think of it this way. Imagine two men in the same situation. One says, "So, do you want to come closer?" The other calmly says, "I like how effortless this moment feels with you." The first creates pressure, the second creates awareness, and awareness leads to curiosity. This is how the implanted thought shift subtly moves things forward. A high-value man understands that attraction isn't built through direct requests. It's built through emotional atmosphere. Your role is not to force intimacy. Your role is to notice connection and give it a voice. When you do this consistently, something powerful begins to happen. The energy flows naturally. She starts leaning in emotionally. The moment deepens without effort, and what once felt uncertain begins to feel inevitable. This is the quiet strength of masculine presence in action. Calm observation, clear expression, no pressure, no chasing, just awareness and presence. And when you develop this skill, you'll start to notice something surprising. Moments of closeness begin to happen on their own, because when connection is acknowledged, it naturally expands. That's the key many men miss. Don't try to force the moment. Bring light to it. And when you do, you won't need to ask for intimacy, because the connection will already be guiding both of you there. The fourth technique. Let her feel safe in her feminine energy. This is something many men overlook. Yet it may be one of the most powerful principles in this entire discussion. Allow her to feel safe in her feminine state. Many men rush past this, believing attraction comes from bold moves or clever lines. But real intimacy grows in a very different environment. It grows where a woman feels emotionally secure. Understand this clearly. A woman's desire is deeply tied to her emotions, and those emotions exist within what we call feminine energy. Softness, warmth, trust, openness, and vulnerability. If that space isn't present, attraction struggles to develop. So don't rush. Don't overwhelm the moment. Stay calm. That's your foundation. One of the most overlooked psychological truths is that intimacy begins long before anything physical happens. It starts with the emotional atmosphere. When a man is tense, impatient, overly focused on outcomes, or pushing too hard, a woman instinctively becomes guarded. Her mind shifts into analysis mode. She starts thinking instead of feeling. And once she overthinks, the emotional connection quietly fades. Understanding female psychology means recognizing that a woman needs to feel emotionally at ease before she can feel genuine romantic curiosity. So your role is simple, yet powerful. Stay steady. Hold a calm, grounded masculine presence. Not forceful energy, not needy attention, just calm. And when a woman senses that grounded presence, something subtle but powerful begins to happen. Her guard begins to drop. Little by little, the conversation feels lighter. Her body language softens, and her laughter becomes more genuine. In that relaxed emotional space, attraction starts to grow without any pressure. This is the subtle power behind many psychological dynamics that successful men use naturally, often without even realizing it. The truth is simple. People are drawn toward energy that makes them feel safe. Masculine calm is often misunderstood, so let's make it clear. It doesn't mean being cold. It doesn't mean sitting in silence like you have no personality. And it definitely doesn't mean pretending you don't have emotions. Real calm is the energy of a man who is comfortable in his own skin. He is present. He isn't rushing toward a result. He isn't constantly checking if everything is going perfectly. He's simply there, relaxed, aware, and grounded. Now think about the difference between two men sitting with a woman. One keeps seeking reassurance. Is this okay? Do you like this? Should we do something else? His energy feels unsettled. He's chasing validation. The other man smiles, listens, speaks naturally, and allows silence without becoming uncomfortable. He enjoys the moment instead of trying to control it. Which one feels safer? Female psychology responds strongly to emotional cues like these. Women are highly intuitive when it comes to energy. They can pick up nervousness in the way a man speaks. They can hear pressure in his tone. They can sense when he's trying too hard to impress. And the moment that pressure appears, her mind shifts into a protective mode. She starts analyzing. She becomes more guarded. But when a man stays calm and grounded, the opposite happens. She relaxes. Her emotional side becomes more active than her analytical side, and that's where attraction quietly begins to grow. Many so-called psychology tricks focus on clever lines or dramatic moves, but the truth is much simpler. A calm presence is one of the most powerful things you can develop. It communicates confidence without needing words. It shows emotional stability, and it creates a space where connection can grow naturally. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have control over your mind, not external events." This applies perfectly here. You can't control how someone else feels, but you can control your own energy, and that energy shapes the emotional environment around you. When a woman feels she can relax around you, she naturally settles into her feminine energy. In that space, she becomes more open, more playful, and more emotionally engaged. And that's where real desire exists. Desire is rarely forced. It appears when comfort and curiosity come together. When people talk about how to fall in love, they often imagine big moments or perfectly timed words. But in reality, attraction is usually much quieter. It grows in moments of ease, in natural laughter, in shared presence without pressure. Learning how to fall in love, or at least how to create the conditions for it, starts with understanding emotional safety. That's why calm confidence remains one of the most reliable psychological principles in human connection. So remember this clearly. Don't rush intimacy. Don't push for reactions. Don't chase approval. Be steady. Be relaxed. Let the moment unfold. When you hold that grounded presence, you invite her feminine energy to appear naturally. And once that energy is there, attraction no longer feels like something you're trying to create. It feels like something that's unfolding on its own. That's the quiet truth behind female psychology and how connection develops. The strongest bonds don't come from pressure. They grow through patience, calmness, and emotional safety. If this insight resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, subscribe for more insights on attraction and confidence, and right now, drop this sentence in the comments to lock it into your mindset. Calm masculine energy creates the space where her feminine energy feels safe. The fifth technique: never ask for a yes, ask for a feeling. The fifth technique is where many men unknowingly ruin their own chances, and it usually happens right when they feel things are going perfectly. It's that moment of asking when tension builds and curiosity is already in the air. Most men go straight for a yes or no question, and that's exactly where the problem starts. This principle is simple but powerful. Never ask for a yes, ask for a feeling. Understand this clearly. When you ask for a yes, you create an opportunity for rejection. One single word can shut down the entire interaction. But when you ask about a feeling, you open space. You invite honesty. You invite comfort. And that's what a high-value man understands. He knows attraction grows best in an environment where pressure fades and emotional safety takes its place. Now think about the difference. Imagine a man saying, "Do you want to?" That question immediately pushes her toward making a decision, and decisions create tension. They bring thoughts about expectations, social judgment, and possible consequences. Suddenly, her mind leaves the moment. She starts analyzing, calculating, protecting herself. But now, picture a different approach. Instead of asking, "Do you want to?" he calmly says, "Does this feel too fast for you? Or do you feel comfortable here with me?" Notice the shift. The pressure disappears. Instead of asking her to accept or reject something, you're simply inviting her to check in with how she feels. That creates a completely different emotional experience. And that's why this method works so well. It reframes the interaction. You're no longer asking for permission in a way that feels demanding. You're showing awareness, patience, and calm, masculine energy. And that kind of energy is highly attractive because it signals stability and emotional control. A high-value man doesn't rush moments. He doesn't chase outcomes. He pays attention to comfort. He builds an atmosphere where connection can grow naturally. And when that environment exists, attraction develops without pressure. Now let's look at the psychology behind it. When you ask a yes or no question like, "Do you want to come back to my place?" her mind immediately switches into evaluation mode. She starts thinking about what her answer might mean. She wonders how it could be perceived, what expectations might follow. Her focus moves away from the present moment, and that's where hesitation begins. But when you ask something like, "Does this feel too fast for you?" the question becomes internal instead of social. She's no longer evaluating you. She's simply checking in with herself. And that's a much lighter mental process. It's easier to answer honestly. It feels safe. It feels respectful. And safety is one of the most important elements in attraction. When a woman feels emotionally secure, her natural curiosity begins to open, her guard lowers, and her attention returns to the connection between you. This is where masculine energy quietly leads the interaction without forcing anything. So don't rush, don't push, stay calm, stay aware, because that's what builds real comfort. And comfort is the ground where attraction grows the strongest. Here's the most powerful part of this approach. Even if her response is uncertain, you're still moving forward with confidence and control. Imagine she replies with "maybe" or seems a bit unsure. Most men would panic. Most would instantly feel discouraged. But a high-value man sees it differently. He sees information. That's all it is, information. Not rejection, not failure. Just a signal about her emotional timing. And when you see it that way, you can respond with maturity. You might say something like, "That's completely okay. I'm not trying to rush anything. I'm really enjoying spending time with you." Notice how calm that sounds. Notice how relaxed it feels. You're not reacting with frustration, and you're not trying to convince her. You're simply respecting where she's at. That kind of response is powerful. It shows emotional awareness. It shows respect. And it shows that your confidence isn't tied to getting an immediate result. This is the type of behavior that quietly attracts women. Because when pressure disappears, curiosity often shows up. She starts to realize you're not like the other guys who rush things or try to force moments. You're present. You're comfortable with the natural flow of the connection. You allow space, and that space gives her room to move closer emotionally. Sometimes, just minutes later, she might be the one who takes things further. Why? Because now everything feels natural instead of forced. Remember this clearly. Attraction doesn't grow under pressure. It grows in a calm, emotional environment. That's why masculine energy isn't loud or aggressive. It's steady. It's patient. A high-value man understands that connection isn't a race. It's a rhythm. And you have to feel that rhythm. You have to respect it.
So don't chase a yes. Don't define the moment by approval or rejection. Instead, guide the interaction toward emotion. Ask questions that invite honesty. Ask in a way that shows you care about her comfort. Pay attention to emotional cues. That's how a high-value man moves through intimate moments, with calm confidence. In the end, the goal is simple. Create a space where she feels heard, respected, and at ease. When those three things come together, something powerful happens. Her guard comes down, her curiosity grows, and connection begins to develop naturally, without pressure, without tension, and without that fear of rejection that many men unintentionally create. That's the quiet strength of masculine energy. And it's one of the most effective ways to attract women while still maintaining your dignity, confidence, and emotional balance. The sixth technique is this: reflect her desire back to her. The sixth principle sounds simple, but when you actually apply it, it becomes incredibly powerful. Reflect her desire back to her. A lot of men get attraction wrong because they think it grows from how strongly they show their own desire. That belief usually leads to two extremes. They either push too hard or hold themselves back too much. But in reality, attraction isn't about intensity alone. It's about balance. A woman doesn't just notice how much you want her. She notices how you carry that desire. You stay composed, grounded, and emotionally steady. Too much desire creates pressure. Too little creates distance. But balanced desire? That's what builds real attraction. This idea connects to classic Stoic thinking. The Stoics believe that mastering yourself is the foundation of influencing anything else. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you match her energy instead of overwhelming it, you demonstrate that kind of quiet control. If she leans in, you lean in slightly. If she touches your arm, you respond naturally. If she holds eye contact for 3 seconds, you do the same. No more, no less. These small adjustments send a strong subconscious message. We're in sync. Humans are naturally wired to mirror each other. From the very beginning of life, connection is built through reflection. A baby smiles, and the parent smiles back. In that moment, the child learns something deep. I'm seen, I'm understood, I'm safe. That same psychological pattern still shapes attraction as adults. When a woman shows curiosity, warmth, or vulnerability, and you calmly reflect it, she feels emotionally aligned with you. This isn't manipulation. It's emotional awareness guided by discipline. It's a real-world application of Stoic principles in modern dating. In today's fast-paced dating world, many men react without thinking. They rush. They overtext. They chase validation. And that kills attraction because it shows emotional instability. A man who understands this principle knows something different. Restraint creates gravity, and presence creates curiosity. So when she leans in and you match her energy, without overloading the moment, you maintain what the Stoics would call a strong, steady mind. Your emotional state stays controlled and intentional, and that stability is attractive because it shows confidence without needing to say it out loud. Most men struggle here for two common reasons. First, they underreact. A woman shows interest, and they stay distant, almost stiff, like they're afraid to respond. She reads that as disinterest and pulls back. Second, they overreact. She gives a small signal, and they immediately escalate. Too much touch, too much intensity, too many words. It feels overwhelming, like she opened a door she can't control. So naturally, she steps back. Both reactions disrupt the flow. Attraction isn't a race, it's more like a dance. And every dance depends on rhythm, awareness, and timing. The key word here is calibration. Calibration means adjusting your response with precision. When she moves closer, you respond, but just enough. When she pauses, you stay centered. When she laughs and leans in, you share the moment without overpowering it. This creates a natural feedback loop. She shows interest, you reflect it, she feels understood, and that encourages her to open up even more. Step by step, the connection builds naturally, without pressure. That's why Stoicism isn't just a philosophy. It's a practical skill in modern relationships. It's not just theory, it's practical relationship intelligence. A man with a steady, disciplined mindset doesn't chase reactions. He reads the energy. He doesn't try to force connection. He lets it develop through balance. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "First understand what you mean, then speak." In attraction, the parallel is this. First understand her signals, then respond with clarity and control. Pay attention to the details, her tone, her body language, her eye contact. If she holds your gaze a little longer than usual, meet it. If she lightly touches your arm while laughing, return it in the same natural way. If her voice softens and the conversation becomes more personal, meet her there with calm sincerity. These small moments create emotional resonance, and resonance is what builds intimacy. Modern culture often promotes extremes. Be overly confident, overly bold, overly expressive. But real attraction rarely grows in extremes. It grows in alignment. A man who understands this doesn't rely on clever lines or aggressive moves. He simply mirrors energy with quiet awareness. He stays grounded, present, and emotionally steady. That's what it means to have a strong, disciplined mind. When you carry that kind of presence, it becomes reassuring. She senses that you're not chasing an outcome. You're genuinely in the moment. And interestingly, that calm presence often moves things forward more naturally than trying to force anything. Remember this: connection expands when energy is matched. The moment she feels that her signals are noticed and respected, her comfort increases. Comfort leads to openness. Openness leads to deeper attraction. This is the quiet strategy behind Stoic wisdom. It teaches self-mastery first, because the man who controls his reactions shapes the atmosphere around him. In practical terms, develop awareness. Notice the subtle signals most people miss. Eye contact that lingers just a bit longer, a playful touch during conversation, a slight shift in posture when she becomes more engaged. Each of these is an invitation, not to exaggerate or suppress, but to match. When you respond with that level of precision, everything starts to feel smooth, natural, almost effortless. That's the real lesson of Stoicism. Mastery isn't loud, it's quiet control. It's a steady presence guiding every response. When you build that calm discipline, attraction stops feeling like something you have to chase. It becomes a shared rhythm, where both people move forward together, step by step, signal by signal, until intimacy develops on its own, without pressure. If this perspective resonated with you, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, subscribe for more timeless insights on attraction, confidence, and composure, and share it with someone who could benefit from it. And remember, real connection isn't forced, it's felt, reflected, and understood. When you stay calm, aware, and in control of your energy, attraction flows naturally. Now drop this affirmation in the comments to lock it in. I match her energy and create natural attraction. Write it, own it, and remind yourself. True confidence isn't chasing desire, it's knowing how to reflect it with balance. The final principle is simple, subtle, and extremely effective. Make it feel like the moment's idea, not yours. Most men make the same mistake. They try to lead intimacy by directly asking for it. They push the moment instead of letting it unfold. That approach closes doors. Awareness opens them. When you understand deeper psychology, you realize that attraction rarely grows from direct requests. It grows from shared emotion. It grows from the feeling that something natural is happening between two people. That's why a calm, observant man doesn't rush the moment. He notices it. He acknowledges it. He allows it to expand. Women connect deeply with moments because moments feel real. A moment carries emotion, warmth, curiosity, and softness. It doesn't feel planned. It feels discovered. So the final step isn't about asking for intimacy. It's about recognizing the emotional space that already exists between you. When you say something like, "This feels really nice," or "I like how comfortable this moment feels," you're not pushing anything. You're simply highlighting what's already there. And that's where things begin to shift. A woman responds strongly to emotional awareness. She feels safe with a man who can recognize the moment instead of trying to control it. Be that man, the one who slows down enough to feel what's happening between two people. Don't rush, don't pressure, don't force the next step. Let the moment guide both of you. When you bring attention to the feeling of the moment, you create emotional permission. You allow connection and intimacy to grow naturally, without pressure. And here's why this is one of the most effective psychology tricks. It removes the feeling of pursuit entirely. When a man asks directly, "Do you want to?" the focus shifts to a decision. Decisions create tension. Decisions create hesitation. But when you say something like, "There's something really peaceful about this moment," the focus moves to the experience itself. Now both of you are simply sharing a feeling. That's subtle leadership. That's deep understanding of female psychology. Women respond to emotional energy. They follow the vibe of the moment. They notice when something meaningful is unfolding. This is one of the key insights behind psychology tricks that show how love and attraction develop naturally. Love rarely begins with a direct request. It starts as a feeling, and when you name that feeling aloud, you amplify it, giving it presence and shape. Consider the difference between two approaches. The first man says, "Do you want to get closer?" Immediately, she feels pressure. She has to evaluate, respond, and decide. The second man says calmly, "You know, this moment feels surprisingly comfortable." Now she feels the emotion instead of analyzing it. She becomes part of the moment rather than judging it. That's a completely different psychological experience. These subtle psychology tricks change the entire dynamic. A man who understands female psychology knows that attraction grows through shared experiences. It grows when two people feel something together and recognize it together. That is the foundation of intimacy. It's also one of the most overlooked lessons about falling in love. People think it starts with bold gestures or dramatic lines. But real love often begins with small acknowledgments. A quiet glance, a laugh, a comfortable silence. Saying, "This feels really nice," or "I like this moment," or "You have a very calm energy right now," does something subtle but powerful. It shifts the focus from desire to experience. Both people enjoy what's already happening. By doing this, you remove almost all the awkwardness that men fear. You remove the tension of rejection because you're not asking for anything. You're simply observing something real. And that observation creates shared emotional space, the birthplace of intimacy. This final step matters because it teaches you to trust the moment rather than control it. It teaches patience and emotional awareness, qualities that are deeply attractive. A mature man knows that connection can't be rushed. He understands that the most effective psychology tricks aren't manipulative. They're insights into how emotions really work. Female psychology responds strongly to authenticity and emotional presence. When a woman senses that a man is calm, attentive, and fully present, her guard lowers. She relaxes. She opens up. She feels safe exploring the connection. That's why learning how to fall in love starts with learning how to slow down. Notice what's happening right now and stay present in the moment. Don't chase the next step. Notice the atmosphere, the comfort, the subtle emotional signals, and gently name them. When you say, "This moment feels really good," you're inviting her into a shared emotional experience. You're not asking for intimacy. You're letting it grow on its own. That's the quiet brilliance of this final step. The moment becomes the guide. The emotion becomes the bridge. The connection becomes something you both experience together, rather than something one person is trying to create alone. This is the deeper wisdom behind these psychology tricks. When you understand female psychology and the natural rhythm of connection, you stop pushing attraction forward. You allow the moment to lead, and when the moment leads, intimacy follows naturally, effortlessly, and without resistance. Conclusion. Questions to ask a woman for intimacy, without rejection. Dark psychology. Trick she can't resist. Psychology tricks. All right, my friend, before you go, here's a simple thought. Relationships aren't about pressure, tricks, or forcing attraction. They're about understanding people, reading emotions, and carrying yourself with calm confidence. Speak with clarity. Show interest with balance. And when you interact with a woman, remember this. The most attractive quality a man can bring to a conversation is emotional control and genuine presence. Don't rush. Don't overdo it. Be calm. Be attentive. That quiet confidence says more than 100 clever lines ever could. If today's video gave you even a small new perspective, do me a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next insights on psychology, attraction, and real-world wisdom. After this video, take a moment to explore the other content here. There's a whole world of human psychology and connection waiting for you, and understanding it can truly change the way you approach relationships. If today's video gave you even a small new perspective, do me a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next insights on psychology, attraction, and real-world wisdom. After this video, take a moment to explore the other content here. There's a whole world of human psychology and connection waiting for you, and understanding it can truly change the way you approach relationships. Thanks for spending your time with me today. I appreciate you being here. Take care, stay calm, stay confident, and I'll see you in the next video.